Good afternoon, I'm John Nayler on the eCentral Business Show. This afternoon I'm joined by Mel Telecican.
You got it.
Or for Course 9.
That's right.
Now, thank you very much for coming in to talk to me.
Thanks for having me, John.
That's great. Now, let's just touch on Course 9. What's that about?
Course 9 is a product or a service that we developed for business authors, speakers and thought leaders, and what we do is we help them unpack their knowledge or repurpose their existing knowledge to create online courses and membership sites.
Okay. So it's about online training and systems around that, is it?
Yeah, that's right. So some people have already created processes, methods or systems that they use and they educate people on, and they do that in a conference setting or maybe one-on-one or small groups. And so what we do is we help turn that content into something that's consumable on a global scale and create resources for them to help them illustrate and put their concepts into action. So we help them create that framework and we put it all up online for them. It's a full turnkey solution essentially.
Okay, great. And what, we're talking about people that have got like a head full of knowledge that want to get it out? That's
right, yeah. So for some people, they come to us because they use this knowledge in bits and pieces, essentially. So they don't always need to use it in its entirety. And so they might put that information, they might do it verbally in one-to-ones, and so we unpack it through interviews. We make sure we figure out what their learning objectives are that they want the end user to actually get from the experience, and to actually put that into a consumable way that's going to be consumed on video and can actually have the impact that they would normally be able to create in real life, in regular interactions. So. Yeah,
now apparently along the way with this whole Course 9 thing that you've embarked upon, you've come across some sort of epiphany, yeah?
I have, yeah.
And we're going to talk about that a bit later on.
Yeah, absolutely, in conjunction with the Speakable You training, 100%.
Well, that's it, okay. And let's get straight into that because we've both been lucky recipients and been on the course with Jacqueline Nagle. So Speakable You. Now, what was your journey in terms of that before I get on to my own?
Well, Speakable You for me was about being able to, I feel like I'm a relatively good communicator, but I felt like
you come across that way, yeah, congratulations.
Yeah, thanks, not bad. So it was about optimising that and then putting the content or the experience that I have and being able to articulate my message really clearly, because I want to have maximum impact and I want to be able to explain to people correctly so that it can have resonance and get buy-in, essentially, not necessarily financial buy-in, but that people can understand my message really clearly and see the potential for what they could be doing regardless of whether they engage us or not. Yeah,
okay. And so that's the sort of thing that came out of, is that a way to articulate your product? Is that the real takeaway you had from Jacqueline's course, or other things?
No, definitely other things. So it's not about the sell, it's not about educating people on what our process is and how we help people. It's really about educating them on what they could be doing to essentially create an easier life for themselves in their professional life and their personal life. So for me, it was about finding or discovering a method to communicate that. And so I really didn't have any expectations around or any assumptions around how that was going to happen. So it was good that I guess, came in sort of fairly empty-minded about that. And then Jacqueline Nagle, the facilitator, was able to give us her framework of how she actually does that. And we were able to look at, I guess, the best speakers that we perceive to be great speakers in our circles, and look at what it is that we like about how they deliver and how they have impact, and try to marry the two.
Yeah. Now, did you do your homework?
I did.
Well, you were probably one of the only there.
Yeah, I did. And so, can we talk about the homework?
Well, I guess a little bit. Yeah, sure.
Well,
why not?
One part of the homework was to spend a bit of time looking at your favourite speakers. So I went onto YouTube and went onto TED Talks and had a look at the people that I could immediately think of that resonate with me.
Are you going to give those 3 away, just so we know? Because
I'll give you 2, because there were, I can't even remember 2 right now, but Brené Brown, who is a very famous speaker.
Yes.
I love Brené Brown, A, because of the content, but also that she presents so naturally and nicely, and she injects humour at the appropriate places, and I just find her hugely engaging. And then Elon Musk would be the other one, mostly because of his content as well, because he does amazing things, and it's fantastic.
Oh, yeah,
fascinating
it's a huge
to learn
story,
from people like him. Yeah, and so it was interesting seeing the differences between how those two have impact, because they have different delivery styles completely. So
yeah, I mean, a little bit of an insight for me is so who do I come across? I come across Eddie Izzard. I don't know whether you know him.
I know the name, but I don't know him.
He's a UK transvestite comedian.
Right.
Did probably his peak work back in the late 90s, early 2000s, that sort of thing. Huge fan. I've watched his stuff over and over again. Yep. His ability to intertwine story and come back and fold back to make things funny a half hour later in his show, just impressive. Really impressive.
Do that really well, don't they? Where they tie things in and you go, oh, I see. Yeah, that makes sense.
Well, even there, you know, when he got down to the end of it and started to do his encore in French and that sort of thing, and referred back to things he'd said in English, you know, just wow. So for my Darren Brown was another one for me. Another UK entertainer, but a stage show hypnotist and showman and stuff like that. And
yeah, okay.
So it was really, as a point of discovery for me, to take that into the course and say, look, these are the people who are iconic and that surround me. And the way Jacqueline then turned that into say, well, John, obviously there's a bit of showman and a bit of, you know, comedian in you as well. And I don't know about that, you know. But also, I mean, third one also was who was the other? I've gone blank. Rob Whiteboard, who sadly we've lost. He was my NLP trainer back in the day, and learned a lot from him. And around the way he delivered, soft, such and gentle but authoritative touch about his tone. And Jacqueline took takeaways from that and helped me connect with that more powerfully. It was really, really powerful, really wonderful process.
Yeah, I can understand that, because when you really give time and energy to looking at what it is that really stands out for you, whether it be the language or the mannerisms or the light and shade in their voices, all those things really have the impact. It's all together, and that's how that has the impact for the viewer or the listener. So
did you get that outcome? Did you get that sort of where you sort of connected and found some resonance with those speakers in terms of who you are and your fabric or your core?
I think I like to think that I've got a bit of humour in me, so I think that's what appealed to me. But I like the break in seriousness, if there's seriousness to deliver. You know, I think that keeps people in the right space of frame of mind to be able to take in the next thing and not get distracted by their own emotions potentially and go off on different tangents. So it's still a work in development for me to play around with a couple of things in terms of where to fit that in and where it's appropriate. And I guess knowing that it's not always needed. It's, you know, you've got to read your room and you've got to know your audience and who's there and accommodate for that, as well as being true to yourself and who you normally are. Yeah, sure. Now, a couple other takeaways for me, and a couple of things that I found that are really valuable out of the process with Jacqueline Speakable You included things such as, you know, she's got a really great format for obviously developing your pitch. So you can do that elevator pitch with absolute accuracy. Mine came away just retoned and reshaped completely, you know. And you've probably had that experience as well? Yeah, absolutely. It's part of my epiphany bit. Oh, really? Okay. Well, you can share a bit more around about that. There was also the way that she pitches to big business. You know, I've folded that into even some work I'm doing currently around a proposal. To also watch the energy in the room and watch the chef. Like there's one other guy in the room sitting beside me, a guy I've known for years, a bit lost into a number of different things, but you know, at the end of it, he was focused with an awesome story. I almost thought that he leapfrogged my position. I thought, I'm actually a bit jealous that he's got so much out of it. Did you have that as well? My intake was similar in that there were some people who were very confused about what their approach was or what they thought they should be doing. And then there were others who were very clear on their message. And yet both of those two different people that I'm thinking of both had significant change still over those 3 days. Yes. So while the message may not change, the delivery does, or the method and the storytelling element and how you actually articulate that. And that's what I think is also invaluable, is that Jacqueline can help you, especially when you're spending a period of time unpacking your approach and what you're trying to get done. You can sort of get lost, and so Jacqueline has a beautiful way of being able to check in, make sure that she understands what you're trying to explain, and then help you articulate it in a really elegant way that makes perfect sense. So I'd say that was really invaluable, because when you were doing an intensive, it can be intensive and it can be heavy, and you can sometimes just not able to you know, get that exact wording just right. So she definitely helps with that, along with a myriad of other things.
Yeah, that's right, because there was also that part for me, as well as in the course where we looked at how you do a keynote speech, which is the fundamental core part of what you is. I mean, you go in saying, oh, that's not really for me, and afterwards you sort of found yourself where you're just going, oh, maybe that is for me.
Yeah,
maybe
absolutely.
It could be a keynote speaker. Maybe that is a channel or a path for me to pursue.
Yeah, I didn't actually go in looking for a keynote because I didn't know whether I saw myself as a keynote speaker, but I very quickly saw, oh yeah, there is capacity for that completely, and being able to then rework what is a full keynote, and then be able to pull it down according to the time frame that you're allocated to speak, or which is really brilliant. So being able to tap into that and still have the impact that you would have had you had 45 minutes of time to speak. So
that's right. You definitely feel like you've got an advantage after that, don't you?
Yeah, and the ability to repurpose it too, as you were talking about with pitch and things like that, being able to repurpose it for pitching, be able to repurpose it for different types of rooms, for different formats. I think if we can get to the Epiphany, I will share that with you, because
don't hold back, you know.
Yeah,
I'm dying to know as well.
Yeah, so the website course9.com, that's really important for me in communicating what we do.
Yes.
And I've had great feedback about it, but that actually allowed me to go, okay, well no, I need to rework a few things here, because you know, now I can really articulate that much more effectively. I can really tap into what it is, a little bit of my why, I guess, and which is a very popular topic, but certainly worthwhile, because it can tap in with my potential clients to be able to talk to what they may be lacking in their lives, or the problems that may exist for them, and be able to communicate that effectively, and sort of show that transition from having this issue to being able to see a way out of it. So
so that articulating that epiphany was around about the way you represent yourself even through your online content.
Yeah, absolutely. It's helped me reshape even a little bit of my podcast introduction that launches shortly. And so that's helpful too. And even in the way that I'm interacting with other people as well. Once you've got your message really clear, and I think, you know, when we talk about bigger stories than us as well, which is another important part of the course, it allows you to think very differently. So now, without going into it too much, but now what I can do is I look to bigger stories or bigger global events and things like that, and I'm able to draw parallels from time to time, and those things are very helpful in illustrating your messages. In the storytelling side of things.
Well, that's it. So there you go. So Jacqueline Nagle's course, Speakable You, is about keynote speaking, and it's in the way it's articulated. But here's myself and Mel, obviously very, very keen and cool on the various things that we've got as takeaways from that course, and a very, very powerful experience that I recommend for absolutely anybody who has a customer-facing or client-facing or people-facing type role, that'll actually help you step up no matter where you are in the procedure or in the process of developing yourself. So highly recommended. I think you'd probably go along with that. Mel, anything else to add?
100%. If I can think about the people in the room, everyone had different objectives or a variety of objectives, and so they were able to apply this in those different ways. It was great watching everybody, seeing them unpack how they could be using theirs.
Yeah, sure.
So plenty of work still to do as a result, but to be able to apply it in different ways.
Yeah, sure. Now, fantastic. Mel, give yourself a plug. Whereabouts do people find out about your thing? Because it sounds wonderful. The opportunity to obviously turn knowledge into a product that you can sell online.
Absolutely.
That's an enormous and amazing gift.
Yeah, absolutely. And it really is a legacy thing too. So for plenty of people, it's not just about the revenue, it's about being able to have a place to put that information and to share that. So our website's course9.com.
Okay, so it's CORSE and the numeral 9.
Numeral 9.com.
Okay, fabulous. Mel, thank you very much for coming on the eCentral Business Show today. It's really great to spend time that has had the experience with Jacqueline and that course, so really appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely, it's fantastic. Thanks, John, great to be here.
Okay, fantastic. All right, that's enough for this episode of the eCentral Business Show. I'm John Nayler.